everybody, welcome to Jazz Time with Jarvis X. It's again time for another video. I thought today I'd do a little box set review of a box set that I picked up some time ago. It is, of course, jazz, like what else? This channel is all about jazz. It has like 25 albums on there, and a lot of them, or actually all of them, are quite iconic, and it's for the fans of Impulse records. It's 25 seminal jazz albums in one box, it says on there. And that is basically all what it says on here. So there is not much, it's just like the logo of Impulse Records. The quality of that thing is, as far as I think, quite good. And it was released in 2016. So it's not the youngest one. Mine has some glue on here. It's not that nice. And I was not the guy with the glue, so they were not taking good care of their glue in the factory. But yeah. So, and let's see what we have on that thing. We have Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Jazz Messengers. Let's see. That thing. Quite good album. It's one of my favorite Art Blakey albums. It's just like the pure album. There are no bonus tracks or something on there. And the back, and that is a thing that is not like that much on that box set, is the back of it is not how the original LP was. I love that when they reproduce the original artwork, like here, but also the back of it, because that's cool. And you have like, Sony does that really often. Then you have like, or Sony Legacy, like they really do that often, where you pick it up and you look in there and it looks cool. It looks like a little LP, even when it's a CD. So quite good album. Then as next, another one of my favorite on Impulse, Max Roach, Percussion Bittersweet. That's one of the ones with choir and everything. Amazing album. Like, this is the thing to go. Very good. We have, let's see, what else? Into the Hut, the Gil Evans Orchestra. So, again, on all of them, there's no bonus tracks, no nothing new. So, but if you don't have that stuff, or you're a beginner with Impulse Records, or you want to know more about what happened on that label, here's a good introduction to that. So, another great album. Let's see, another classic, Mr. Quincy Jones. So Q, he made so many great albums. And his orchestra, the Quintessence. So that is like the very beginning. So that is how that entire box set happens. So it starts with the early Impulse and then to the late Impulse into the 70s, right before they closed the label down. So Benny Carter, Further Definitions, and there was a release where they had additions to Further Definitions on there. I think that's the name of that album. So they saw that that thing was selling quite well, so they decided, let's do another one a little bit like that. So he plays the good old classics like Honeysuckle Rose and yeah, Body and Soul, Cottontail, Crazy Rhythm. It's a classic. Everyone who is for a longer time into jazz, or who is into Benny Carter, would probably know that one. So what should I say about it? Then there is Shelly Man 234. Shelly Man, another great drummer. Beautiful album. It's from '63. It's fine. Then we have Roy Haynes, and that is also quite iconic album from that label. And Roy Haynes, he's amazing, and I'm amazed by that man because he seem never to get old. So how old is he now? I think he's in the midst of his 90s and he's still drumming. It's quite amazing, that man. But and there's Roland Kirk on here on that album. Ooh, Tommy Flanagan, great people. So it's from '62 and it's Out of the Afternoon. Amazing album. The ultimate jazz album of the '60s, or one of the ultimate jazz albums, or the ultimate jazz album of 1962 was, as far as I think, and yes, there was John Coltrane, and yes, he's a great man, and yes, there were a lot of other wonderful, amazing albums, but Duke Ellington meets Coleman Hawkins. Come on, guys. That thing is really amazing. I mean, like, Coleman Hawkins himself, he's the tenor saxophone, you know? Like, for me, he is the man with the tenor saxophone, and he was the original. Like, like, he played with Fletcher Henderson in the 20s, and he just did his thing the entire time, and he never got worse with what he was doing. Like, with some musicians, you have it that they get worse over time because of health issues, because too many drugs. Not with the Hawk. So, and what should I say about Ellington? And there are a lot of Ellington people on here, and it's the album. I love it. I grew up with that thing. My father played it all the time. And Johnny Hodges plays amazing solos here. I love that one. So, then we have the great Freddie Hubbard. And the name of the album is The Artistry of Freddie Hubbard. It's from '62. And also an amazing album. We have good people on here, like Tommy Flanagan again, Curtis Fuller on trombone, amazing man. And then we have a musician that is very, or is, I think, one of the best-selling artists that Impulse Records ever had. I have to admit I never listened that much to his music, but he's amazing anyway, and it's passing through the new amazing Chico Hamilton Quintet. So it's from '62. I think it's maybe his first album for Impulse. Usually with Impulse Records, they had like contracts, I think, for 2 albums. So, and then not really had exclusive artists on their labels, so they just borrowed some from other labels, or they had, yeah, small contracts where they said, okay, 2 albums and that's it. So you will find a lot of artists who just recorded 2 albums on there. Except for, of course, Coltrane or Chico Hamilton. He was, I think, he was even, yeah, he was one of the few exclusive artists they had. But I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, and here's like the ultimate ballads album from John Coltrane. Like, there's nothing to say about this one. Like, who could play ballads like John Coltrane? Come on. Great man. Here's one, I think you even find it on my channel here. Sonny Stitt and Paul Gonsalves. Salt and Pepper. I very recommend this album. Amazing. Another great from Mr. Charles Mingus. He recorded amazing albums for Impulse, like this one, Mingus, 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 Mingus. I hope there was not one Mingus too much. Or The Black Saint and the Sinner Lady is also an amazing album, but this one is also amazing. Like, what should I say? Like, they're all classics. Like, if you're really into Impulse Records so far, then you probably know all them or have them already on vinyl or on CD. So there's nothing new there. I can tell you, at the end of this box set here, you will have no new revelation if you're really into Impulse Records, because all of that has been released numerous times, or yeah, you have it already for a long time, or there's new revelation in there. So today and tomorrow, McCoy Tyner from '64. I think that is one of his first albums for Impulse. Like he recorded a few more. And amazing pianist. Just a legend, this man. I cannot say more about him. Oliver Nelson, one of my ultimate favorites. I love his arrangements. More Blues and the Abstract Truth. That's the second one. There was like the Blues and the Abstract Truth. They belong to my ultimate, most loved Impulse records of the entire catalog. Like, I think I like the first one more, but this one is good too. It's from '64. And there are good people on there. And there's even, when I remembered right, there's Hank Jones. Okay, Ben Webster is on here. Yes, like I was very surprised when I read that the first time that Ben Webster was playing in that band. I think he just recorded even just one album for Impulse. That's Ben Webster, who I'm talking about. Shirley Scott, Queen of the Organ, recorded live at the Front Room. That's a live album. A good one, recorded by Rudy Van Gelder. So Rudy Van Gelder, he recorded quite a bunch of this. But great woman, great album, and great sound quality. Because Rudy Van Gelder, if there would be a man that know how to record live in a club, it's Rudy Van Gelder. Let's face it. A classic man, a legend, and one of his best albums as far as I can think of is Earl Hines' Once Upon a Time. And there are a lot of good people on here, a lot of legends from the old times, a lot of Ellington men. For example, Russell Proko, Johnny Hodges, Jimmy Hamilton. And then you have Elton Jones on here on drums. That's also interesting. Like, they're quite... It's an interesting section of people on here, like, who come together for these sessions, or came together for these sessions. Good album. Here's the soundtrack. Sonny Rollins, with orchestra conducted by Oliver Nelson. Original music from the score of Alfie. I think it was a movie with... what was the name of that guy? Movies from '65? I don't know anymore. Michael Caine. Of course, Michael Caine. It always happens when you do a video. Then that happens. Like, you don't know who it was. But it was Michael Caine. It's a good album, but there are other albums of Sonny Rollins that I prefer. For example, the Sonny Rollins on Impulse. I prefer that to that here, but it's a good album and it's a classic one too. Here's one that I think is not that well known, but the man on here is well known for his work on Blue Note, I think. Stanley Turrentine, Let It Go. There's like a Meg Simpkins at the organ. No, that was drums. Shirley Scott. That is why I wondered, like, what? But it's Shirley Scott at the organ, and you hear the organ every time and everywhere. It's a good album. It's good. The great Dizzy Gillespie, and I think that was his only album for Impulse. Swing Low, Sweet Cadillac from '67. It's a live album. So, it's good. It's Gillespie. You know, what do you want? It's good. Rural Still Life. Tom Scott, it was like in '68 when everything was crazy, you know, you had the Summer of Love and like all the hippies and like this psychedelic weirdness everywhere, and like of course Impulse also wanted to cash in on that. So they had like Tom Scott, but I like that album actually. It's a little bit more of the weird obscure albums, I think, on Impulse. And if you hear of the name of Impulse Records, it would be not... The first guy that would come into your head would be probably not Tom Scott. But it's worth listening to. Definitely. The great Charlie Hayden, Liberation Music Orchestra. Also legendary album from 1970. So, it's good too. I like it. The ultimate wife, or like the like the wife of John Coltrane, Alice Coltrane, like journey in Sachidananda. I'm not really like, I have no clue what Sachidananda is, but it's really good, and I enjoyed that album. So Gato, it's Gato Barbieri, recorded in Latin America. Chapter 1, Latin America. I'm not sure if there's a chapter 2. To be honest, I could tell you nothing about this artist because I never really listened to him. I'm brutal honest here. I have no clue, but it's probably good. It's in there. Maybe some of you can write something down here below the comments, or in the comments below this video about it, because some of you might like him or know him better. Then there is Keith Jarrett, Death and the Flower. So Keith Jarrett, he recorded a few albums, 4 albums I think, on Impulse, or maybe there were 6. I'm not too sure about it anymore. But yeah, Keith Jarrett is always great. Like, that man really knows how to play the piano, for sure. The album is from '74, so we are close to the end. Or that was actually the end. And then, you see there's nothing in there. You can close that thing down. Back there are all the albums from 1 to 25. And then we have a booklet here. And it says not much. It just says a little bit, actually nearly nothing about the albums. It's really just like really a thing to get in there. They printed again the covers in there. There's not like that much here. A short text. Who wrote the text? Is it maybe a guy we know? I don't know, but it's fine. So, how I said it before, nothing special for all those who know Impulse for years, who love the records on Impulse. You probably have all of this already, but for those of you who want a kind of nice deal and want to get into their label or to know more about that, because that's the house that Train built. And I mean, not the label that made Train big, but Train made a label big. So, yeah, that's a good overview of the work of that label. There's, of course, a lot of more. But yeah, and I got it for, I don't know how much anymore. But it was not that expensive when you think there are like 25 albums in there. So you should look it up. If you can get a great deal somewhere, then get it. I recommend it for those of you who have not that much knowledge about the Impulse label. But all the others, think of it. And that was my short review, and I wish you a great time. If you have ideas for the channel, please feel free to post them below in the commentary section. And stay cool, because it's here quite hot, and have a great time. Listen to jazz, listen to swing, and see you next time. Doodle, doodle.